Welcome. Today we're going to talk about the creation of wealth formula and how do you do that. The creation of wealth formula is becoming pretty popular. We see that at the NCE meetings quite often. And today we're going to talk about how do you do that. Now, Bob Steele has a book out called 300 Strategies, and that creation of wealth formula is in this book. I think that's a very good read. And he also says that there are many structures to how you use the creation of wealth formula. I mean, some of these formulas overlap. Some of them are real straightforward with just one way of doing things. But so what we want to do with the creation of wealth formula is understand how that we can use the equity in this building to buy this building. Let's look at the building that we currently own. It's worth $1 million. We have a $300,000 loan against it, and we have a $700,000 equity. Now that is a 70% loan to value, which that is really pretty good. This part of the creation of wealth formula is real simple, and we all understand it. The creation of wealth formula means that you use your equity and your asset to purchase another asset. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the equity in this building to purchase this building. So that's what we're doing. The creation of wealth formula is use your equity to purchase other assets. In this example, we're going to create a note and a deed of trust. We're going to create a $400,000 note on this building, and we're going to use it to buy this building. So exactly how does that work? Well, you could use different strategies to make it work. You could go get a HELOC, a homeowner's line of credit, a commercial line of credit against your building. You could use a private loan to come in and be in second position and loan you the money at their rate. You could form a partnership, or you can do it yourself. You can create a note. Remember, we have $700,000 equity in this building. So here's your situation. If you create a $400,000 loan against your building, which will be in second position on this building, you have a remaining equity of $300,000. That gives you an LTV of 30%. And that's really pretty good. And you want to purchase this asset for $800,000 with a $200,000 mortgage and an equity of $600,000. Now there's several ways you could do it. Remember, this has a $200,000 mortgage that we're going to have to deal with. You're not going to assume it. You're going to agree to make the payments on that mortgage, and it's going to stay in place. And then you're going to ask the seller to carry back $200,000, and then we're going to create a note for $400,000. So here's how that looks. Now on this subject 2, there's $200,000 there that the lender has, and they're in first position. You could take that $200,000 mortgage and pay it off if you had the cash. Perhaps we don't have the cash. If we don't, we'll use another strategy. But we're going to create a $400,000 note against our property. So your situation is on the other building, it's for $800,000, a loan of $200,000, and we have to deal with this lender loan in some way or another. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a note against our building for $400,000. Now when you create this note, there's several things to look at. You want to look at it from the eyes of the person that you're going to give that note to. I mean, it has to be of value. It has to have a good rate of return, so they will have a good yield. And probably the terms of the payments and the length of the note will all make an impact. And also, the buyer will want to know what position they're in with this $400,000. Well, we know on this building that we own that we have a $300,000 mortgage in first position, and they will be in second position with a $400,000 created loan. And we want to buy this building and it has an existing loan of $200,000. Now remember, we're going to take that subject to, we're going to agree to pay it, but we're not going to assume it. And then we're going to ask the seller to carry back $200,000 on their building. So how does that look? We've got a $300,000 mortgage on this building. We've got a $400,000 note on this building in second position. And we're going to take this mortgage subject to, and we're going to ask the seller to carry back $200,000 in second position. So now you own two buildings. Your equity position has changed some. We've moved it around. You have not increased your equity. You've just moved it around. So now you have $300,000 equity in this building, and you have $400,000 equity in this building. In this building, we've taken subject to the existing loan. We've asked the seller to carry back $200,000 on his building, and we have given the seller a $400,000 created note that's on this building. And so now you can see that it balances, and we have moved our equity around. We now have $300,000 equity in this building, and we have $400,000 in this building. We have not created any new equity. We have just moved it around, and we still have $700,000 equity. Now our cash flow has changed, and so hopefully it has changed for the better. And I think that's part of figuring out the commercial loan process and doing the cash flow analysis and the APODs, and to see how all that will work. I like what Bob says. He says there are many ways of dealing with a seller's equity. In this case, in the creation of wealth formula, he says there's probably 1,000 ways that this has been constructed, with using seller's equity, with a buyer's equity, creating notes, using other assets, using cash. And so when you have a buyer and a seller and they have equity, you can do anything you can agree on with that equity. But when it comes to the lender, it's a whole new deal, and you have fewer options when dealing with the lender. But remember that you always have to deal with the lender, and you always have to take care of that loan, because that lender is in first position. So that's the creation of wealth formula, and thanks for listening.